So in this video, I'm going to show you how to make a couple of simple edits inside of your template. First, we're going to start off with adding an image or a logo in this case. And I'll show you how the movement of the different areas inside of the layout section work. And we'll also add an additional text field. And I'll show you a little bit more about how those text fields work. So let's start off with adding an image. So firstly, when you're working in the layout space, this is where you have the opportunity to adjust the different boxes of content to where they best work for your needs. So in our case, if we wanted to add a logo to this quote, well, we would need to make some room for the logo. So let's say that we're going to put the logo in the very top and we want to move some things around to kind of change it up a bit. So let's take this quote section, and using the style toolbar, we can change the size of the font in here. So maybe we'll put it down to a size 12. This might be a bit best. We can also shrink that font size, shrink that box if we'd like, and put this quote number up here to be best aligned with the creation date. So that'll free us up a little bit of space here in this section. If we want to do a little bit more moving around, what we could also do is shrink the height of this box, move it down to just above the Build To section. And you can actually select multiple items simultaneously by holding down Control and selecting with your mouse. And I believe you might be able to move everything at once too. There you go. Move it as a group. So it works a lot like any type of word processing document, or if you're using like PowerPoint presentations, all of the setup and the functionality is more or less the same. So let's get these guys down here, and we'll put that customer field here as well. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So if we wanted to just take a quick look at the preview, we can see that it looks a little different. Yeah, pretty nice. Actually, what's nice about this is I've got a vertical line here, a horizontal line here, and also a horizontal line down here to kind of break up the different parts of this quote. My intent, so what I might do is, instead of having the line sit this high, I might bring that line down a little bit more, and then we could fit the logo here in the top left corner. So let's give it a try. So this element right here is that line. We'll bring it to right about there. Looks good. Okay, and so to add an image, now if this isn't just a logo, you can add an image if you'd like. This image is going to be visible on every document you generate. So there's like a static piece of data, and then there's also like variable data. The static data is always going to be the thing that's on the template. An image, a note that's always present, something that isn't linked directly to a data source. Variable information will be linked to a data source. The variable information that you see inside of this layout are supported within their cells. And that's where you have these data fields that are supporting what information is displayed. So just kind of a little overview to tell you like kind of the different things that are always going to be constant on your templates and the things that won't be. Our logo will always be constant. So to do that information, we'll go ahead and select the image option, and then it'll say image not available. And then here to the right in the properties section, you have your position and dimensions. So again, this is your content settings, like the stuff that's specific to that item that you're putting in here. And every different type of content that you're adding into the layout section will maybe have slightly different requirements. Of course, you can't add an image to a text box, for example. So let's go ahead and insert a local file, and we will select our Katana logo, and it's going to look just like so. Now, again, I can move it around inside of the space as I desire. I can make some changes. It can look a little funny if I want it to. I definitely don't want it to make it look too funny, so I'm going to keep it as uniform as possible. Move this down a bit, and I'll bring this logo up just a little bit to here, right above the customer text field. Okay, so let's have a quick look and see what this appears to look like in the preview. Okay, there it is. Again, it's not perfect, but fiddle around with it a little bit, and then you can really start to see how it works. So maybe I want to make some changes to it. I can also shrink the size of this. Now, if you want to keep its dimensions, you can hold down the control to keep its dimensions, and you should be okay. I'll move these two elements just a little bit further down the list as a group, and that should look fairly decent. One more check on the preview. Yeah, that looks all right. Again, not perfect, but all right. Okay, cool. So we'll go ahead and close that out. And next up, we wanted to do maybe something related to this quote. What would be good on a quote is very simple, let's say payment terms. And in this case, we can add a text box. Text box by default always goes to one location. So you'll have to select it and choose where you want to put it. So I might put something down here and specify I want to do, so I can select, double click to edit, and then you'll get the edit section. Now you have to double click on it and then you can edit it. Now this is where all of the editing for text boxes becomes really useful. We're not going to be adding data to this text box. Instead, we're only just going to edit with like constant data. So something that will always be visible anytime you make that template or for this quote. So let's go ahead and put something, payment terms net 30. And that's it. Nothing complicated. So if your payment terms on all of the quotes you provide is net 30, you can put that right there in the quote, and it's easy, good to go. Just position it where you want it. If you'd like to, you can also specify, you can also change, let's say the font, for example, making it bold. Then choose apply. And then it will always appear bold in that sense. Now that's one way to do it. You can also do a couple of different ways. Let's say that you don't only offer net 30 payment terms. If, for example, you want to provide different options that are more like fill in the blank, you can then do something that's a little bit different with how you manage this. So right now, the way it's set up is anytime I print this out, if we go to the view options and choose preview, you will see that the payment terms will say net 30 here. Now, unfortunately, I have it on the wrong page, so it's always good to pick up on those types of things when you come across them, because maybe I have stationed the text box in the wrong location. So again, anytime you're working with custom templates, it's always important to make sure that you fiddle around with it a little bit to kind of learn how it's actually working when you're loading information into it. It's not always perfect, but once you get it right, it works for everything you need it to. But anyway, with that said, this payment terms that we've set up for this document is always going to show that based on the fact that we just made it a simple text field with text inside of it. So if you always are working with your customers with net 30 payment terms, great. Now, if you're providing a quote and let's say you wanted to do things a little differently, I'm going to move this up here. Let's see if I can keep it on one page. And you want to do things differently, then what you can do is you can create one text box, which is constant data, and then you can have another text box, which is an editable field. So let's say, for example, that you want to generate a document, a PDF template, and you can actually edit the net payment terms for that template, for example. And then this could be rendered as an editable field for that specific document that's generated off of the template. So let's say we were going to do something like that. We could do something where we have this field like so, and we simply choose payment terms, and we leave it blank like that, and choose apply. And then, if we want to, we can add a second text field, which we can bring right next to it. And in this field, we can adjust the settings under advanced to render it as an editable field. So essentially giving you the opportunity to add some information to that if you so desire. So when we go into the preview mode, you can see that there'd be a blank section here that would allow you to put something in there as custom information when the document is created from the template. So really quite a lot of cool things you can do with this editor. You just have to come up with some ideas on how you want to work with it. So let's say we save that, and I'll just show you kind of in general how that looks. Let's close it off. Let's choose the save option. And then when we go into our print template, in order to make it available, we want to make sure that we choose the copy option here. So looks like we're okay. I think I need to rename this just in case. So I'll call this quote custom. Let's double check to make sure everything looks good on it when I open it up again. Yep, looks good. All right, so everything is saved now and we're good to go. So let's go ahead and make a quote. And if we make a quote, we'll go to the quote section here, generate a new quote. We'll select Jane Rooms for our demo data. We can actually add an address for this person if we want, but we'll go ahead and skip it for this example. We'll put a table here. And yeah, okay, I think that's pretty straightforward. So let's say that we choose the print options and we choose custom quote. That will then generate the document for us and it will look just like this. Of course, since I don't have any address data, you won't see any of that address data here, but here's your line items and the totals. And then of course you could put in here, pay up front. Or you could put net 30. You can then save it and send it off to your customer. Lots of ways to work with it. In the next video, I'll show you a little bit about how to make, let's say, a packing list for your sales orders, and also use the components that are related to barcodes in order to put those into your packing list with the list of the items that are being sent out with your sales order shipment. Hope that you found this video useful, and then in the next video we'll cover more about the information and how that relates when you were referencing data fields from our Katana database.